getting bigger. It's gonna be okay.
You'll be okay, Jake. Don't worry. I'll get you taken care of.
Take care of him.
You'll be ready for the fight, Jake. Don't worry about it. You're gonna be a contender.
Oh God. Am I gonna be okay?
And I feel like 58-27, the age is not a factor. That's a wash, right? Experience level obviously is going to go to Mike Tyson. But Jake's got a screw loose.
Jake Paul's latest stunt has landed him in the hospital after what's being called a failed suicide attempt. The self-proclaimed untouchable fighter tried to dodge his fate, but the theatrics fell flat. Ironically, the so-called poison found in his stomach was a harmless substance, typically used by people in high-stress situations. It's as if his confidence is dissolving faster than the hype around him. The fearless image he spent years crafting is starting to show cracks, and fans are seeing right through it.
It was written. That's all I know is written. Like millions of years before my bloodline was existing. It was written. And what do you think?
I think you look in pretty good shape. You've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah,
I wonder how you feel now compared to when you were fighting.
I feel I don't have to call people bad names. I feel really happy. It'll be a good thing.
And as a fighter, where are you?
Who, me? I'll be better by the time of the fight.
In your head. Are you the fighter that you were when you were the youngest heavyweight champion? Are you still that guy? Are you a different fighter, or do you still imagine you are what you were?
Well, no, I know. I never lied to myself, but I know I'm good enough.
His once hyped-up promos and bravado now seem like a desperate act, with each attempt to sell his confidence only revealing more doubt. Jake's act is slipping, and even he's beginning to see he's no longer fooling anyone. The once unbreakable Paul appears more vulnerable than ever. Teetering between panic and reality as his facade continues to crumble. Jake Paul, the internet's favorite punching bag and wannabe tough guy, has landed himself in perhaps his most ridiculous scandal yet. On November 8, 2024, the self-proclaimed boxing star and trash-talking YouTuber was found unconscious in his mansion, not from a knockout by a real fighter, but from ingesting 15 grams of sodium nitrite.
My friend's in there. It's an emergency.
Come on, Jake. We got to get you on the journey.
Jake? Hey, man.
I don't know.
Hey, we're here, man.
I gotta. It's really bad, man. I'm freaking out.
Hey, guys, this looks bad. We need to take it back to the DL.
Oh, thank you.
Just making it work.
It's gonna be okay.
Oh.
Don't worry, we'll
right.
stabilize it.
Oh.
All right, let's do this.
All right, let's get him the gurney. Ready?
A common preservative. You couldn't script it better. In typical Jake fashion, what could have been a shocking, dramatic end became yet another joke. The chemical he took interfered with his blood's ability to carry oxygen, leaving him gasping and collapsing as if it were a failed TikTok stunt. Even in a supposed life or death moment, Jake still managed to look foolish. His dramatic act of self-poisoning wasn't even successful. Doctors at Cedars-Sinai saved him using methylene blue and oxygen therapy. True.
And the age is not a factor. That's a wash, right? Experience level obviously is going to go to Mike Tyson. But Jake's got a screw
to form, Jake couldn't commit fully even to his own missteps, turning tragedy into yet another farce. Naturally, the news exploded online. Social media erupted in a volcanic wave of sarcasm, with memes surfacing faster than Jake's desperate attempts to cling to relevance. The internet had a field day. His fans clung to whatever shreds of dignity he had left, mourning their fallen hero, while the rest of us rolled our eyes at the spectacle. Was this just another stunt? An Oscar-worthy sympathy bid? Or maybe a desperate...
Will be up against. He'll get teased for taking this fight, for one. He'll get teased for that. He'll work himself through that. But, yeah, if he goes out there and cleans his clock, they're going to come down on him.
Ploy to dodge the real nightmare on his calendar, a looming showdown with Mike Tyson on November 15th. Then came the investigation, peeling back each ridiculous layer of this saga. LAPD officers scoured Jake's mansion, only to find ... nothing. No signs of forced entry. No masked intruders lurking in the shadows. What they did find.
It's gonna make money. You want me to say more than that? Is there need to say more?
Sloppy, handwritten note from Jake himself, complaining about pressure and expectations. Really, Jake? That's the big farewell? If you're going to make headlines, at least go out with a bang, not a whimper. Oh, and the sodium nitrite purchase? traced right back to Jake himself. Talk about leaving a digital trail. The fallout left a digital footprint the size of a toddler's tantrum, and experts couldn't help but shake their heads. Sodium nitrite is for preserving meat, not making boxing history. But then Jake never did have a record for smart decisions. Doctors worked quickly to save him, and by the morning of November 9th, Jake was awake and very much alive. Unfortunately for him, his reputation had taken a beating even Tyson couldn't deliver.
He can step on the wrong eggshell and let off a combination that can kill most people. No bull. He has the power and ability to shift organs in your body if he hits you with the right force, right? So I think he forgot more technique than Jake Paul has ever learned.
His tough guy persona shattered, leaving Jake looking like a frightened child realizing that playtime was over. The entire act, built on bravado and carefully crafted illusions, crumbled in spectacular fashion. Meanwhile, Tyson, the real destroyer of souls with 50 wins, 40...
Yeah, man, he's looking really, really good. I'm definitely a little bit crazy, and I'm definitely a little bit scared. You know, this is the toughest fight I've had to date against the most experienced opponent. It's at heavyweight, and Tyson's dropping people in sparring. He looks the best shape and the strongest he's ever been, is what his coaches are saying.
4 of them by brutal knockouts stood as a reminder of what a true fighter looks like. Jake's record, by comparison? A shaky 10 wins padded with opponents who either were edging into retirement or didn't belong in the ring. This whole episode exposed him, leaving his tough guy image as little more than a poorly staged act. But Jake, ever the marketing genius, milked his upcoming match with Tyson for everything it was worth. He posted hyped-up videos of himself sparring with heavyweights, trying to convince everyone he actually stood a chance. The confidence would almost be inspiring if it weren't so laughable. Theories surrounding Jake Paul's recent hospital incident are now more outrageous than his career moves. A popular take? The whole thing was an elaborate stunt, a desperate attempt to sidestep his November 15th showdown with Mike Tyson. Let's face it, the pressure had Jake folding like a cheap lawn chair from day one. From the start, it was clear Jake had bitten off more than he could chew. All his trash talk, hype videos...
He's not fighting an MMA guy. He's not fighting a wrestler. He's not fighting an entertainer. He's fighting a boxer. I don't care how old the difference, the age gap is. He's fighting a boxer.
Videos and social media bravado were just smoke and mirrors. Deep down, he knew he was doomed. So when people suggest he orchestrated this poisoning just to dodge an inevitable beating, it's not exactly a stretch. Manipulating the narrative is practically his hobby, and if faking a near-death experience could buy him time to avoid Tyson's fists, you can bet he'd consider it. But Jake, ever the marketing genius, milked his upcoming match with Tyson for everything it was worth. He posted hyped-up videos of himself sparring with heavyweights, trying to convince everyone he actually stood a chance. The confidence would almost be inspiring if it weren't so laughable. Theories surrounding Jake Paul's recent hospital incident are now more outrageous than his career moves. A popular take? The whole thing was an elaborate stunt, a desperate attempt to sidestep his November 15th showdown with Mike Tyson. Let's face it, the pressure had Jake folding like a cheap lawn chair from day one. From the start, it was clear Jake had bitten off more than he could chew. All his trash talk, hype videos, and social media bravado would...
The person, the one fighter that most people feared. And I feel like 58-27, the age is not a factor. That's a wash, right? Experience level obviously is going to go to Mike Tyson. But Jake got a screw.
Just smoke and mirrors. Deep down, he knew he was doomed. So when people suggest he orchestrated this poisoning just to dodge an inevitable beating, it's not exactly a stretch. Manipulating the narrative is practically his hobby, and if faking a near-death experience could buy him time to avoid Tyson's fists, you can bet he'd consider it. When it's time to back it up, he crumbles like stale bread. Fans and haters alike are locked in endless debates. Was this a carefully planned ploy, or was Jake genuinely struggling? The timing couldn't be sketchier, fueling speculation that he never intended to fight. Perhaps he was always hunting...
Watch it, because it's one of my favorite fights to watch Tyson, because it's Tyson in his prime, where he was terrifying. He was so fast, and he would do angles, and he was bobbing and weaving. You couldn't hit him, and he was...
for an escape, and this poisoning fiasco became his golden ticket. It's a circus, with Jake as the ringmaster in an act no one's buying anymore. This mess has cast a dark shadow over the upcoming fight, and the tension is palpable. Will Jake even be physically or mentally fit to step into the ring? Promoters are left wondering what will happen next. Promoters are sweating bullets, terrified of having to reschedule or worse, cancel the event. What was hyped as the fight of the year is now hanging by a thread, all because Jake Paul couldn't keep his ego and anxieties in check. The fans, the money, the hype, it's all on the brink of collapse. Even Tyson, the legend everyone's eager to watch, has been dragged into this spiraling fiasco. As for Tyson's reaction, pure classic badass. He's not wasting his energy on Jake's drama. Tyson remains laser-focused on the fight, ready to swing as planned. While he's made a few empathetic comments about mental health and the pressure on athletes, make no mistake, Mike Tyson is a living wrecking ball, locked in on one thing: winning. Meanwhile, Jake is drowning in his own chaos. Meanwhile, Tyson's over there, cool and composed, training like the pro he is. He knows the difference between showbiz and real combat, and he's prepared for the latter. Jake, on the other hand, is clearly regretting his decision to face Tyson, even admitting footage from Mike Tyson's training camp has me contemplating life. The boxing community is reeling as this whole episode raises tough questions about the mental health support athletes receive and whether the industry needs reform. The irony is hard to miss. Jake Paul, self-declared king of the ring, has inadvertently become the poster child for the pressure culture he once thrived in. Now, there's talk about revising fight preparations and ensuring fighters are mentally stable. But let's be real, in a few months, Jake's fiasco might just be another forgotten tabloid scandal. So what's next, Jake? Will we see you back in the ring, or is this the end of your bravado? Will we see you on a podcast, Jake, talking about how fame is a burden and the pressure is too much? Will you blame it on mental health struggles, hoping for a redemption arc? It's hard to sympathize when you've built a career taunting others, belittling opponents, and stacking your resume with joke fights. You couldn't even get sabotage right, and that's about as Jake Paul as it gets. One thing's for sure, Jake's greatest opponent isn't any boxer, it's his own tragic sense of showmanship. November 15th is looming, and there's no backing out now. Whatever happens, the world is watching, either waiting to see you get pummeled or hoping for another miraculous stunt to dodge your fate. Either way, you've made your bed, Jake, and now you've got to lie in it.